Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Stitt, President Harroz, distinguished speakers and guests, good morning and welcome to the University of Oklahoma and the Sam Noble Oklahoma Museum of Natural History. At this time, please stand for the presentation of the colors and our national anthem. Present the colors.
So proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the line of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready, cut, right, face, over, march, left, 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 left. Thank you. Please be seated. Let's thank the color guard and Mr. Ian Nix from the Oklahoma. I'll tell you, if that doesn't get you going in the morning, there's just something wrong. Well, welcome again to the University of Oklahoma's inaugural Defense Symposium. I am Gene Kirkland, Executive Director of the Oklahoma Aerospace and Defense Innovation Institute. Our objective today is to consider the role of universities in meeting the current and future defense priorities of our nation, and how industry, government, and academia might best collaborate to meet our national security priorities, and specifically examine the impacts of emerging technologies to the evolving global security environment. To meet this goal, we've established an impressive lineup of leaders from across government, academia, and industry. Each has made extraordinary contributions in their field and bring important perspectives on national security. I join you in looking forward to hearing from today's keynote speakers and panelists and encourage everyone in attendance to take advantage of the question and answer periods. Let me thank the Sam Noble Museum for this impressive venue. Established in 1899, the museum boasts over 50,000 square feet of exhibition space and approximately 7 million exhibits. We've allowed some time in the schedule today after lunch for you to do a self-guided tour. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce President Joe Harroz, the 15th President of the University of Oklahoma. A native Oklahoman, President Harroz has served the University of Oklahoma for 25 years, including 9 years as Dean of the College of Law, 12 years as General Counsel, and 2 years as Vice President for Executive Affairs. President Harroz led the development of the university's strategic plan, a comprehensive strategy that positions OU as one of the nation's leading public research universities, and a direct catalyst for establishing the Oklahoma Aerospace and Defense Innovation Institute and events such as today's symposium. Please join me in welcoming President Harroz.
Yes, everyone's taller than me here. Just going to put that right there where it belongs. This is a joy to be here. It really is. I was sitting next to Governor Stitt, and I was hurriedly looking over my introductory comments because we all know you came here to hear my welcome. It will be illuminating exactly to the extent you think it will be. But I can recall when I first came into this job a little over almost 3.5 years ago, and one of the first conversations that I had was the governor, and he brought the president of Oklahoma State and me into a room and talked about how do we move the state forward? What is it we do? And each of us, both University, Comprehensive Research University president, we all came in and he said, where can we be world class? And he said, bring your top 3 ideas. So Burns and I came in with 10, which is more than 3. And we came in and he said, well, this looks great, but it's not 3. You have to truly be focused in where you're going to play. Where are you as an institution? Where are you going to actually lead? And how do you demonstrate that? At the same time, Tomás Díaz de la Rubia came into our life, and we were putting together a strategic plan for the University of Oklahoma. And Tomás has deep experience in these spaces. And we worked with the entire university to put together our strategic plan. And as we did that, we said we have to pick a discrete number of spaces. We tried to get to 3, Governor, but it ended up being 4, right? 4 key areas of strategic research excellence. And I want to talk a bit about those, but first of all, I want to recognize some individuals that are here without whom we would not be here from the university side of things. I'd like to recognize, as I've already spoken of him, Vice President for Research and Partnerships, Tomás Díaz de la Rubia. Proud to have you here and leading us. And Tomás understands the importance of not just writing down a plan, but having the true experts that can help drive those things forward. And there are 2 of those here with us today. I'd like to recognize both of them with 34-year careers, both of them retiring as generals, retired Lieutenant General Gene Kirkland and General Donald Weddicombe. Let's recognize them. So with these individuals, we put together and said, what is the strategic plan for the university? How do we move ourselves forward in a way that truly accomplishes those objectives that we have for the students that we bring in and educate, right? For the state itself, for our nation, and for the planet. And the one that jumped off the page, an area where we have expertise already as a state, where we can move forward in ways that are fundamentally important to the individual and to society, was aerospace, defense, and global security. And the idea wasn't just to go out and say it. I mean, it's a convenient thing to say. We all know that in Oklahoma, this area of aerospace and defense is the 2nd largest industry. So it's an easy thing to say. But where is it you will specifically play? What role will you have? How do you achieve excellence? And what does it take to accomplish that? We went through a 1.5-year process and laid out a disciplined strategic plan, which I can read to you, or you can look it up later. At ou.edu/lead on. And it lays out one purpose: we change lives, right? It lays out 5 pillars, 26 strategies, 137 tactics. And it lays out where we're going. And inside of that, Tomás and his team put together these 4 key research areas and laid out exactly how we'll accomplish them with great specificity, using business principles to make sure we're disciplined in how we accomplish those. And he laid out those things that you have to do to accomplish them, those underlying areas that he calls horizontals, right? In areas that we have true expertise in, areas like quantum physics, in areas where we imported talent to bring it in areas like data science, as we continue to take people from Purdue, with apologies to Purdue, but you know, you got to go to where the puck's going, right? So as we go there, you know, we already had certain elements that were world-class, right? And I saw Bob Palmer earlier. I'm not sure where Bob is right now. He's probably working. There he is right there. But when you look at our Advanced Radar Research Center, it is the #1 radar research center associated with the university in this nation. Right? We were just recently ranked #1 in terms of aircraft, right, and the development of private aviation. Right? Everyone knows that we have the National Weather Center here. What we're doing in that space is groundbreaking in so many ways, atmospheric and beyond. We've taken those, brought those together under a strategic plan, and are moving forward in a way that is critically important. Now, you know these areas: radar innovations, sustainment and modernization, advanced technologies, and international security policy. The key to this is not just to be inwardly focused. One of the things we talk about a lot, and Barry and Moore is here, right? The godfather of all of this, right? The key to this is not just being an inward-facing great university. That is completely insufficient. It's admirable, it's important, but it's insufficient to accomplish the big dreams we have to impact beyond the individual, to impact the state, nation, and world. So the key to this is making sure that we are fully open for partnerships, fully open for business. That as we stand here today, we look at our industry partners, we look at our government partners, and we say together, we're going to combine our strategic plan with your strategic plan and find that intersection where we can be the academic partner of choice. We can be that entity that lends our expertise and isn't so arrogant to say that we have all the answers, because we don't. Occasionally we say we do, because that's the nature of academics. We think we're really smart. But the truth of the matter is that we're necessary but not sufficient for us to truly move forward, for us to truly advance knowledge for our students, for us truly to advance our state forward, to protect our nation, and to provide global security. Academia has something critical to offer when at its best, but it has to be in partnership with the government and its components. It has to be in partnership with industry. And here we are at this first symposium. It's not often you get to say a symposium is sold out. Most of you got your tickets on StubHub. Right? It was worth it. Even the cheap seats in the back. But this is literally a sold-out symposium. And I think it's because we all recognize a few things. We all recognize the importance of this space to Oklahoma. We understand the importance of this to the globe. And there are many universities that wouldn't want to seize this opportunity. And among those that would want to seize this opportunity, they're not positioned to be able to take advantage of the opportunity that exists right now. We are in that position. We are humbled to be your partner. We understand the role we play and the fact that we can only do this together. So we stand here today at a critical moment. It's not very often a first ever symposium is sold out. But I think all of us feel the energy that we have in this room, the responsibility we have to move forward, and the fact that together, there's no question we can get this done. It's an honor to be here. Thank you all very much. I will not yet yield the mic. I mentioned him at the beginning of my comments. I reflect all the time on the conversations and leadership and comments of our governor. He is a friend, but he's also a true leader. And I can tell you, we as a university wouldn't be where we are right now without his leadership. It is essential. A person of character and discipline and conviction. I'd like to introduce our governor, Governor Kevin Stitt.
Thank y'all so much. Don't you love Joe Harroz? Awesome. When he got introduced, he's sitting in my seat right now, by the way. He's bucking for a promotion. I mean, how many people want my job in the state of Oklahoma right now? When he got introduced a while ago, he leaned over to me and said, "No need for standing ovations, Governor." Man, it's so good to be in Norman, my hometown. Just love coming back here. It was the greatest place to grow up, and just have so many fond memories here. Learned to fly right out there at Westheimer. Soloed when I was 16. So aviation, defense, this industry is near and dear to my heart. But being here on the kind of college campus, it reminds me, I've got 2 kids in college right now. My daughter, Natalie, she's a senior down at Baylor. in Waco, and she called my wife and was like, I lost my credit card, Mom. And so Sarah calls me, and we were like, okay, we'll just go search in your car, go look in your apartment, make sure it's lost. And yeah, I've looked everywhere, it's definitely lost. So Sarah got online, and sure enough, it had been used in Austin, and it had been used in Houston. And so she goes, I said, well, you're probably gonna have to cancel it. So she calls the bank, and then I started looking at all the charges, and I was like, well, hang on just a second. They're actually spending less than she is. Are you sure you want to cancel it? Anyway, but man, seriously, Joe has done a fantastic job at the university, and I remember those conversations as we talk about what can we be top 10 at. And they did come back with about 10 or 12 different things, and I know how academia does that. They thought they were going to get more money if we could if they could have 10 different deals. But really, I think you have to be in business and also education. You have to be pointing in a certain direction, and we can't be all things to everybody. And we know that in business, and we know that at the university. So I'm really excited that they are focused on aviation and defense. And Tomás, I was part of the interview process when we stole him from Purdue. So Mitch Daniels, we got one of your best and brightest, and we're moving the needle at the University of Oklahoma. So aviation defense is, so important to our state. And I also like to remind people, we live in the best state in the entire country. I truly believe that. We take second place in no other state. That's why I ran for governor, is because 4 years ago, we weren't living up to those expectations in a lot of the different categories. And so I'm excited for the direction that we're headed. And I like to brag about Oklahoma. For when businesses are thinking about moving here, we are the number 28th state population-wise. We have 4 million people. The 19th largest state land area-wise. But strategically, where we're located in Oklahoma, being dead center located in the middle of the U.S., is the right spot for manufacturing, distribution all over. We also have a port here. The most inland port in the country comes just east of Tulsa. So access to waterways and shipping is very, very important. And then I love to brag, especially when I go to Washington, D.C., about our energy policy. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe that a reliable energy grid and our all-of-the-above approach in Oklahoma is leading the way nationally. And what I mean by that is there's other states that their grids are having trouble right now, and they're not standing up to the pressure on them, especially if there's any kind of cold spell or there's any kind of heat wave that's happening. We saw that last February with the polar vortex, 2 weeks of unseasonably cold weather. And the Texas grid even had some rolling blackouts, and we saw other states experiencing that. Oklahoma's held up very well because of our all-of-the-above approach. And I was on the phone with President Biden during that time, with Governor Abbott as well. We were talking about these things. And Oklahoma is one of only 4 states that can say this, that over 40% of our energy comes from renewables. And that blows people away back east because they think that Oklahoma is just oil and gas. And I tell people, listen, Republicans and Democrats, we have to have an honest conversation with each other. Sometimes we get so in our corners that we won't have honest conversations. You have to talk about oil and gas. And Oklahoma is number 4 in oil production, number 3 in natural gas. But Republicans are just as guilty about not talking about renewables. And I love talking about it because we're number 2 in wind energy production. I've leaned into hydrogen. We have an MOU right now with the governor of Louisiana and the governor of Arkansas to get a hydrogen hub here. We can put Oklahoma on the map with affordable energy for our citizens. 11 out of the last 14 quarters, we were number 1 in most affordable energy to the consumer and to the businesses as well. So that's hugely beneficial. And I think aviation defense companies, they want to make sure if they're manufacturing goods and products here, that's part of their analysis that they look at. It's why Google has their largest facility here located in Oklahoma. But when I think about aviation defense, the things that we have going on here, unlike any other state, with Tinker Air Force Base, which is kind of the hub, We have the largest MRO facility for the defense industry in the entire country. It literally maintains the Air Force fleets for the entire country, located right here. There's 2 other ones, but Tinker has the 3-star general, and we are the hub. Is that right? I mean, I'm having a hard time counting all those stars over there. So he's based here, and it's exciting to have that located here in Oklahoma City. But also, I like to brag, American Airlines there in Tulsa is the largest maintenance and repair facility on the commercial side in the entire country. And then we've got Lawton Fort Sill. Lawton Fort Sill, we're the only state with 2 futures commands. A futures command is R&D dollars that are pouring in to think about the weapons and the defense of our country in the future. So we've set up the FISTA down at Lawton Fort Sill to encourage more defense contractors to come in, research and develop, go out to Lawton Fort Sill, have the military use those products to win more contracts here in Oklahoma. So huge advantage, and we got Altus Air Force Base, we got Vance up in Enid. So we've got the airspace. FAA is located in Oklahoma City, their largest center, which I think gives us another advantage when you think about unmanned aircraft. That's something Oklahoma State's focused on, is a lot of the unmanned stuff. So all that works together. And if you're going to be an aviation defense company, Oklahoma is the right spot to be. There's no doubt about that. With the amount of money coming in and the RFPs that Tinker's pushing out, we just think that's the right place to be located. So in commerce, we set up the ACES program that specifically helps and targets more aviation defense companies coming in. We went to Farnborough this year. I was me and the governor of Arkansas were the only 2 governors there meeting with executives in this industry, trying to recruit them to Oklahoma. And I've got to tell you, your president picks up the phone every time I call, and I said, hey, let's hop on a plane. We're pitching this company out in California. And so me and him flew out there with commerce, and companies love that. And I tell them, hey, we're a flat organization in Oklahoma. You have access to the governor. Here's the president of OU. You think workforce is important? You want us to design programs to meet the needs of your industry? We're here. We're ready to work and roll up our arms, roll up our sleeves, and work with you. And that's kind of that's my core values, is we have get-it-done attitude in Oklahoma. When I ran my company, that was our core value. When I bring vision to the state of Oklahoma, I don't like people saying, that's not my job, I'm not going to do that. If the garbage has to be taken out, we're going to take it out. Matter of fact, when I get home, my wife says, you're not the governor here, go take out the garbage. So we're going to have a roll-up-our-sleeves attitude, get it done, and I know Joe Harris has that, Tomás has that. We're going to make it happen in Oklahoma. But workforce, we have to align workforce and our education system with the workforce and those needs. And that's why more of these symposiums are good. Whether it's career tech, common ed, or higher ed, it's pretty simple to me. It's looking at the business and the industries and what's the future and where's the R&D dollars headed, where are the companies need, and then let's make sure we get that workforce ready to meet those needs in the state of Oklahoma. And I think I say that with career techs, I say it with common ed. So we had a McKinsey study, we partnered with the state chamber, we just got it back, and we are aligning workforce to break down those silos between those 3 things and put one person in charge to make sure that we don't just focus on what's good for higher ed or just career techs or just common ed, but literally let's work together and let's get those kids, those young people in the right positions to be successful for the rest of their lives. The aviation program, one example in high school right here in Norman, we just set it up, and thanks to the leadership of Rick Nagel, I don't know where he's at, but he had that vision to set up an aviation program in our high school. And so now if you want to be an A&P mechanic, you can start going to this aviation high school as a junior. And by the time you graduate, you're 90% there. You have to do a couple little things. We're actually working with the feds to be able to 100% do it at the high school level. But American Airlines executives, when I met with them, they told me, Governor, do you know what we start an A&P mechanic at? And it was $70,000 a year. I went home and told my son, I said, you're going to be an A&P mechanic when you grow up. Because 5 years later, they're making over $100,000 a year. We need more engineers, more doctors, more nurses. We also need more A&P mechanics. And if you get it, if I talk to the aviation defense industry, and this is something we can all share with young people. If you have your security clearance and your engineering degree, or your security clearance and your AMP license, you probably won't even leave the interview. They'll hire you on the spot. So that takes 12 to 18 months to do, and I always encourage young people, start that security clearance, because every defense contractor is begging for those folks. So we're trying to figure out ways. You have to have a sponsor, so we're working with that to get those sponsorships into our universities and into our career techs to make sure we can get them started on those careers. So anyway, these things are fantastic because they are pointing a finger on exactly what we need to do to train workforce for tomorrow. So we want to be the #1 state for aerospace and defense. University of Tulsa is a great partner. Cybersecurity, they're one of the leaders in the country in cybersecurity, which kind of fits hand in glove with this. Oklahoma State's Aerospace Institute for Research and Education, and then the Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering program here. Just incredible what's happening. And our OU's College of Aviation is #1 in the country right now, ranked, which is fantastic as well. But proud to serve as your governor, and proud to lock arms with the University of Oklahoma and your leadership to move the needle, and as well as Tinker. Thanks for being here today. God bless everyone. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Wow, that was quite a tour de force with President Harroz and Governor Stitt. What great leadership we have in this state. We're really fortunate to have them leading the charge for us. I'm so grateful to all of you for being here. I know many of you travel from long distances, others more locally, but regardless, thank you for making the effort and taking the time to join us on this inaugural event for the Oklahoma Aerospace and Defense Institute that we launched about a year and a half ago. We're really fortunate also to have as the leader of our institute, General Kirkland, Jim Kirkland. I was telling his successor at Tinker that, it's amazing, General Kirkland came to the university, what is it, Jim, about a year ago now? About a year ago, and you could think after 34 years in the Air Force, in a completely different environment, going into academia would be difficult. You would never know that Gene hasn't spent his entire career as an academic. Seriously, he just blended in, came in, and with his leadership skills has been able to lead us over this last year into just amazing developments and future directions that we're taking that are really truly going to impact our warfighters and the security of our nation and the world in very, very important ways. And talking about that, I mentioned yesterday, for those of you that were at the reception, we do live in a world today in which technology is advancing exponentially fast, and it's doing so at the global scale. And the consequences of that are really significant and impactful for our economic competitiveness as a nation, but also for our national security. I was reflecting earlier, that back in 2016, General Wald, Chuck Wald, and I wrote an op-ed on thehill.com in which we talked about the fact that there is no fourth offset in technology for military superiority. Over the history since World War II, over that period of time, we always talked about offsets to the adversary, nuclear weapons and the nuclear deterrent, stealth, right? And the question became, I said fourth, I meant third. The question became back in the, 10 years ago or so, what's the third offset? What is that technology, that nugget of technology that is going to make us invincible to the adversary for the next 2-3 decades? Well, the truth is there is no third offset today because global technology is evolving so fast and because technology is happening And innovation is happening not just here in the United States, as it did for decades, but it's happening all around the world. And our adversaries are taking advantage of that. I have the privilege of serving on the Defense Science Board that advises the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering. And in that board, we're conducting what is called a summer study on technology superiority. And while we cannot go into any great detail in here, suffice it to say that we all know, and many of you know in great depth, that we're facing challenges from our adversaries in areas where we frankly have fallen behind as a nation. And that's scary. That worries me, I know it worries all of you. That is why we're here today. We're here today because we believe very strongly that now is the time for academic institutions to really step up to the plate, to work together with the private sector, as President Harris said, to work together with our military, to work together with the Department of Defense and the services, and the whole of government, to truly create that innovation ecosystem that is going to be unbeatable by the adversary, that China is going to want to copy and not be in front of us, that is going to protect us, as it's doing today in many ways in the Ukraine against Russia, that is going to keep us ahead of the adversary all the time. That's really important. And so it's my pleasure to introduce via a video recording, unfortunately, she could not be with us today, my boss on the Defense Science Board, who is the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, Dr. Heidi Shyu, the Honorable Heidi Shyu. She understands this issue of technology really, really well. We're very fortunate to have her at the Pentagon. She has described and defined 14 technology areas in which the United States must regain, maintain, or create superiority with respect to our adversary so that we can stay in front. Back in 2016, Chuck Wald and I, when we wrote that op-ed, we said we can view the adversary in the rear view mirror. Today, we can see them through the windshield in front. Okay? So what Secretary Shyu is doing is incredibly important. She's structuring the Office of Research and Engineering in such a way that we truly are focused on technologies like hypersonics, like counter-UAS, like disinformation, like quantum, like artificial intelligence, things that we're going to be hearing about throughout the whole day today. She serves as the Chief Technology Officer for the Department of Defense, a position mandated with ensuring the technological superiority of the U.S. military and responsible for research, development, and prototyping activities across the DoD enterprise. She also oversees the activities of the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, the Missile Defense Agency, the Defense Innovation Unit, the Space Development Agency, and the entire DoD laboratory and engineering enterprise. Please turn your attention to the screen. It's my pleasure to introduce Secretary Heidi Shyu. Thank you. Is that on?
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to address the University of Oklahoma National Defense Symposium. I would especially like to thank Senator Inhofe for this invitation. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person with you, but I do look forward to hearing about what you accomplished today. As Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, I serve as the Chief Technology Officer for the DoD. In this role, I oversee the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, or often known as DARPA, the organization that is well known in developing technologies to prevent surprises. I also oversee the Missile Defense Agency with a role to protect the homeland, the Test Resource Management Center, and the Defense Innovation Unit. In addition, my organization is responsible for DoD lab and test infrastructure and manages the university-affiliated research centers and the federally funded research and development centers. They are the extension of our research arm. We also manage the 9 different manufacturing innovation institutes. I released a memo in February identifying 14 critical technology areas which the DoD is tying our investment strategies to. In the area of emerging technology, in biotechnology, we're exploring developing synthetic fuels and lubricants, turning plastic into food, growing lungs. In the area of quantum science, we're developing components to provide exquisite navigation and timing. In the area of advanced materials, we're developing materials that can handle extremely high temperature, materials that can greatly reduce weight while increasing strength. In the area of future G, we're developing technology and shaping the standards for beyond 5G. In the area of defense-specific technologies in hypersonics, missiles that fly faster than Mach 5, we're focusing on critical enabling technologies. We're also focusing on directed energy, lasers, high-power microwaves. We are also developing integrated sensing and cyber capabilities. In the areas with significant commercial investment, in the area of trusted AI and autonomy, microelectronics, which is a critical component in just about everything that we use, area of integrated network system of systems, as well as renewable energy and storage, which will reduce our dependence on other nations. We're focusing on space technologies, advanced computing and software, and improving human-machine interfaces. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go into details of all the technologies right now, but we're in the midst of writing up the National Defense Science and Technology Strategy. This booklet will be released in the first quarter of next year. Our national security is dependent on unmatched basic research being done in outstanding universities like the University of Oklahoma. Thank you so much for hosting this important event. I look forward to working with your academic leaders and innovators.